On July 17, 2012, Craig put out a final video on the Coach Zucchini channel titled Final Video for Disney's version of Toontown. The video starts with Zucchini mentioning that he will be ending his membership for Toontown Online and deleting all of his tunes. In this video, Zucchini sounds very dejected, unlike many of his other videos, where he is quite jovial, except for his angry moments.
4 years ago, you didn't have toons hanging around Toontown Central and Toon Valley, picking up dates, running game shows that accomplish nothing, glitching, etc., etc., etc. Toons actually played the game. 4 years of work for nothing. Why bother?
He lists 3 distinct reasons why he is quitting. Number 1, the quality of tunes, mentioning the quality of tunes playing had gone down and that the new tunes coming in are not playing correctly. Number 2, fans and trolls. He talks about a specific field office marathon where the other tunes did not listen to his instructions. He goes on to mention trolls who attempt to harass him in and out of game, mentioning a tune by the name of Dragon and his documenting of harassment to Disney, only to get the cold shoulder. And then number 3, Disney itself, pointing out the lack of new content, with the newest pieces of content being the BossBot HQ having been released in March of 2008, 4 years earlier, and the Cellbot field offices in March of 2011, a year and a couple months prior. He then goes on to delete all of his tunes, set to the instrumental for the 1995 Italian song Con ti partirò, written by Francesco Sartori. Looking at the Select a Tune screen, we see all of the helpers, Fat Peanut Pickle Pop, Fat Tubby, Bear With Me, Dipper, and Applesauce, but it shows that Craig had at least one more tune named Silent Joe, a green pig. Silent Joe never appeared in any videos before this. He deletes Silent Joe first, then Applesauce, then Dipper, then Bear With Me, and then Fat Tubby. Before deleting Peanut, he selects Peanut, who then enters the game. Craig spins the camera around to face Peanut and gives a parting bye before exiting the game and deleting Peanut. Zucchini ends the video by giving a final note, telling people that tunes claiming to be him will not be him, but saying tribute tunes are acceptable, before saying a simple goodbye, a far deviation from his usual ending where he would say, "That's all for this video, tunes. See you next time," a goodbye that told viewers that a new video would not be coming. And with that, the Coach Zucchini saga comes to an end, but that would not be the end of Craig on the internet. On November 6th, Craig made a post about Election Day, speaking about bandwagoning, why Election Day should be a holiday, and the increase in prevalence of absentee ballots. Quote, "In addition, with absentee ballots becoming more prevalent, there is the increased chance for voter fraud. If you can register by mail and vote by mail, how is the election board supposed to know that you aren't some special interest group scouring the obituaries and the voting rolls to find people who are not likely to vote and doing so for them? At least with in-person voting, you have to have someone of the right sex and who has a valid ID. Yes, both of those can be faked, but it's a lot harder." End quote. Less than an hour later, Craig would make another post. Quote, "Recently on Twitter, Melissa Joan Hart, best known for playing Sabrina the Teenage Witch, revealed that she was a Republican and was voting for Romney. She got some support, but the vindictive responses from those on the far left were horrid. One tweeted that they hope she has a gay child, as if that were a punishment. I have to admire her courage. She gave as good as she got, but again, it points out just how those who scream for tolerance treat it like a one-way street." End quote. On November 14th, following Barack Obama's 2012 election victory, Craig made a lengthy post titled, "This is why I see the imminent collapse of the US." The post talks about how Craig was upset about the outcome of the US presidential election. On November 21st, Craig put out a Midwest Fur Fest report, simply stating, quote, "I didn't go." He went on to explain why he didn't attend that year's conventions and the problems it had been facing. Quote, "And you know what? I didn't miss it. After last year's fiasco, a weekend where things were fairly middling was welcome. Will I ever go back? I rather doubt it. I don't have a reason to go, other than meeting friends, and it's much too expensive for that. I could spend a great weekend with a friend without the con and spend less. Unfortunately, MFF has now become a victim of its own success. It's too big and too expensive, just like Anthrocon, and further confusion. Looks like the only furry con I can afford now is Furlaxation. With my present finances, even Megaplex, which I would dearly love to attend again, is looking extremely iffy, end quote. On March 26th, Craig would make a rather doomer post concerning the future of America once again. Quote, recently at my church, I have been asked by a few people what I see happening in the future. This is because for the past 10 years, I have been showing others the pattern I am seeing concerning which parallel that occurred in both ancient Israel and in the history of Christianity. It is a fairly frightening parallel, and some are looking to me for predictions. I don't make predictions, I am no prophet, but I do see trends, and I can give my opinions as to what those trends mean to me, and what I think a likely outcome will be. Now, I won't bore you with details that I spoke about to them with regard to my church. I will say, however, what I see for this country of ours, the United States of America. I see us entering a dark time, and by a dark time, I mean a time where rules are made to be broken at the whim and caprice of those in charge, without regard to the Constitution. The Supreme Court seems to think that it is no longer relevant what those that wrote it actually meant, and that the laws of other countries are far more important than our own founding documents. They are reluctant to rein in executive fiat, calling Obama's refusal to enforce duly enacted laws effectively the law of the land, overruling state laws to the contrary. With that kind of rule, we are only a short hop, skip, and jump away from tyranny. I see that trend toward tyranny continuing, and many states will not put up with it. Texas leading the way. Will it result in civil war? Unknown. I hope not, but it certainly will result in a very dark time for this country. I expect this darkness to continue until at least 2050. What happens then? I have no idea. I know what patterns should be followed, but I'm not going to speculate as to the form it will take. I don't know if the United States will even exist in 40 years. I fear we are seeing an end to this country, end quote. On September 23rd, Craig was interviewed by a user named Timid Grizzly on the furry blog site Flayra. The interview was about Craig's Beach Bears music project. The interview first starts out with an introduction into Craig and the Beach Bears story. Quote, a new art form is being developed in the furry fandom. It is like a soap opera in that a central cast of characters tells story arcs in chapters within a larger consistent setting. When one story arc is over, another begins. But unlike a soap opera, at the end of each chapter or episode is a covered song or parody song that relates to the chapter or episode. Each chapter averages 8 minutes long. The production is titled The Beach Bears. After listening to a few chapters, I wanted to know more of the story and more about how this exciting work came to exist. The Beach Bears was created and is produced by Max DeGroot. Mr. DeGroot was kind enough to grant me an interview to satisfy my curiosity, end quote. Craig explains how he came up with the Beach Bears. Well, it all started when I created Dipper as a minor character for a single comic strip, but the Dipper character refused to be a minor character and developed into a major character in my song work. In 2011, I was covering a series of Academy Award nominated songs, and I had Dipper sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. It was a big hit. Then Dipper covered the Beatles song I Feel Fine, with Dipper singing all 3 parts. This was also very popular. People had also heard several songs I recorded using the voice of Stargazer, another character I created, and my own voice. Someone suggested a song using all 3 of these voices would be great, so I recorded Sloop John B using all 3 voices, Dipper, Stargazer, and myself. I dubbed the group of 3 singers the Beach Bears after the Beach Boys, who had a big hit with Sloop John B, and because the 3 characters were bears. But that meant I had to create a character for my own voice in the group. I sought the help of Wolf Teller at Tuna1192 on Fur Affinity to create the look and the name for the 3rd voice. Wolf Teller created Birch, but Birch did not have a defined personality. As the group recorded more songs, I developed Birch's personality. The Beach Bears covered a number of songs. When I posted Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, I also posted a short story explaining why Dipper was singing it. Later, I recorded this short story and included it before the song. People really liked this, so the Beach Bears did Early Morning Rain and other songs with small stories recorded with the songs, and the story/song format was born as part of the Beach Bears, end quote. The interviewer then asked how the story arcs got started, to which Craig responds with the following, quote, That developed as the project grew. After a number of the Beach Bears songs and stories, I realized I could not start the largest story of the group in the middle and needed a beginning for the Beach Bears. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road became chapter 20 of the Beach Bears story, and chapters 1 through 19 became a backstory explaining how the group formed and giving some background for each member. For each chapter, sometimes the song dictates the story, sometimes the story dictates the song covered. With each song, the story and the characters' personalities grew. The story has now grown to include many story arcs and over 14 hours of material. Birch is the musical professional with a passion for music, Dipper is the kid with the great voice, but a little emotional, and Stargazer is the voice of reason in the group, end quote. On November 9th, Craig made a post about the difference between communism and socialism and how they relate to liberalism. Quote, "Communism and socialism are based on the false premise that most of the ills of this world are brought about by the misdistribution of wealth. This is clearly shown in the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto. The only real difference between a communist and a socialist is that a communist believes you can only reach the workers' paradise through violent revolution, and a true communist must be an atheist, since all religion is used solely as a tool of the establishment to keep the rabble placated. A socialist still believes that all 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto, but believes the workers' paradise can be achieved without the violent revolution, nor is atheism required. Religion, to a socialist, is not always a tool of the establishment. In reality, most of the ills of this world are brought about not by unearned wealth, but by selfish thinking which puts the individual above the whole, to the point where one sacrifices the good of the whole to benefit the individual. The way to combat this is not to force people who serve the whole. In order to do that, you need an authority to do the forcing, and that authority will put their own benefit above the whole. They will give themselves more wealth than the rabble, more power, in essence, becoming the very thing they were fighting against. No, the way to combat it is to start with yourself, think of others, help others, love others. You'll find that even if your living standard may be low, you will feel better about yourself and others. Why? Because I honestly believe that the natural way we are supposed to live. A liberal, by the way, is a person who believes that the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto are good ideas to a point, but should not be taken to extreme. They show no inclination, however, of slowing down their headlong rush towards them, end quote. Just before the year ended, on December 28th, Craig uploaded another parody on the Max DeGroot SoundClick account named I'll Lose Weight, a parody of the 2012 Mumford & Sons song, I Will Wait. Craig would continue to update his LiveJournal throughout November and into December, leading throughout 2014. On April 14th, 2014, Craig uploaded another song on a Max DeGroot SoundClick titled Sing Something, a parody of the 2014 A Great Big World song Say Something. On May 24th, Craig would upload another parody on SoundClick titled The Legend of Your Name Here, a parody of the 2005 song by Grammy Award-winning musician Chris Blackwell named Man in Black. To date, this is the final parody uploaded on the Max DeGroot SoundClick. Meanwhile, on July 23rd, Craig would upload on the Max DeGroot YouTube channel for the first time in over 3 years. The video was titled Sports Song by Weird Al Yankovic. The song was simply a music video made by Craig for the Weird Al Yankovic song of the same name, using a compilation of images and lyric cards. Although it seemed that Craig was still going strong with his projects, 2014 was a rather slow year to start, only uploading a couple parodies. His LiveJournal would also see a downtick in posts, only leading to a couple handful of posts rather than a couple hundred in years past. However, a shock event would take place on Craig's most popular project. Coach Zucchini would shockingly return with a live stream that was held on September 26th. This was a trial stream, making use of a real-time voice changer to change Craig's voice to sound like Coach Zucchini, rather than using a digital audio workstation like Audacity. These streams would also give more of an insight into Coach Zucchini's real personality to those that did not already know about Max DeGroot, the Beach Bears, or Craig's LiveJournal, as the streams would be done live and not edited into a YouTube video by Craig himself. The next day, on September 27th, Zucchini would stream once again titled Coach Zucchini Rides Again. he would be streaming himself playing Toontown Infinite, a Toontown fan remake that had sprung up after the closing of Toontown Online on September 19th, 2023. On October 3rd, Zucchini did another stream in which he played Toontown Rewritten. At 10 minutes and 42 seconds, Zucchini mentions that someone in the chat named Bobby Thornbody is a good friend of his. Thornbody is a fellow fursuiter from Hillsboro, Oregon, another clue to Zucchini's real identity. On October 14th, Zucchini did yet another stream in which he plays Toontown Rewritten. After these streams, Coach Zucchini would take another hiatus. 2015 would be another slow year for Craig's LiveJournal, only posting 28 days out of the whole year, including no posts in May, July, August, and September. In years past where he would be updating his journal almost daily, this year was rather sparse for him. On August 20th, a YouTube user named Cameron Traplack uploaded a video titled Darren Traplack, age 9, performs frets and a Max the Groot song. The video is of a young child playing at a small concert, first playing a song named These Are Frets, which is a song set to the guitar riff from Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. He then performs Dipper recording Yellow Submarine, a song that was uploaded by Craig to the Funny Music Project on June 20th of that year, with the opening skit included.
Dips, it's getting late, and I've been here for hours. Please, just do this song right.
You still won't let me have that video game I want.
It's not mine to give, Dips. Just please do this song right, and I'll buy you some ice cream tomorrow, okay?
Well, okay.
Alright, let's take it from the top. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We all love dressing up for Halloween. Up for Halloween. No, that's not it.
This perhaps marks the only time that any of Craig's music has been covered by another person. The description reads as follows, quote, Darren Traplack, age 9, performs at his first paid 1-hour gig on 8/18/15. These Are Frets, and a stand-up cover of Dipper Records' Yellow Submarine by Max the Groot. Darren's first time performing both in front of an audience, end quote. Craig left a comment at the bottom of the video on October 5th, nearly 2 months after the video was uploaded. He simply said, quote, okay, I feel very complimented now, closing parentheses, end quote. On October 30th, Craig created a new YouTube channel based off of his Beach Bears group. Although the first public upload would not come until over a year later, if there were any uploads on the YouTube channel before them, they have not been archived. On December 2nd, Craig would make a short post concerning the 2015 Inland Regional Center shooting in San Bernardino, California, focusing on the perpetrators, Syed Rizwan Farouk and Tashfeen Malik, 2 Pakistani Americans, Syed being born in Chicago to 2 Pakistani immigrants, while Tashfeen was born in Pakistan but immigrated to America in 2014 after marrying Syed. The shooting took the lives of 16 people, including the couple, while injuring 24. Craig would make a short politically charged post about the two's ethnicity. Quote, why is it that when the target of a mass shooting is a group of blacks or gays or an abortion clinic, the motive of the shooter becomes all important, but when the target is a group of whites, it's the gun that did it and should be regulated if not banned, end quote. It should be mentioned that many of the posts throughout 2015 related to college football, including his top and bottom 10, a series of posts that he frequently made during college football seasons dating back to 2010, holding a bias towards, of course, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Throughout the end of January and throughout February of 2016, Craig would make a series of posts concerning mathematics, which weren't new posts for him, but he would make a few of these in a row, something that wasn't common for him. On February 12th, a YouTube video was uploaded titled Coach Zucchini Reveals His Face. The video was of a webcam screenshot of a person with the Rick Astley song Never Gonna Give You Up playing. Although this video was mostly made as a joke, the description is rather interesting, reading, quote, Coach Z reveals his face. I know a lot of people have been asking for this. Video transcript. Hello Toons, this is Coach Zucchini. I do the voice of him in my videos. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and am married to several kids, end quote. At this point, it was only known in a few underground Toontown circles that Craig had resided in Columbus, Ohio, and featured some, as far as I know, unknown details about him, such as him being married and having children. Cross-referencing this photo with another one from Craig, it can be seen that this is likely not an image of him, but it could be an older image of his. Reverse image searching of the photo yields no results except for the aforementioned YouTube upload. On March 8, 2016, Craig would upload to the Max DeGroot channel for the first time since Sports Song in July of 2014, nearly 2 years prior. The video was titled The Martian, retold in 10 seconds. The video is simply Craig donning a voice similar to the Coach Zucchini voice, repeating different phrases such as wanna go to Earth, wanna go home, too big, and don't like space.
Earth, wanna go to 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 Earth, wanna go home, 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 Earth, 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 don't like space, it's too big, wanna go home, wanna go to Earth.
On August 31st, Craig would make his first ever post about Donald Trump, who was running for his first presidential term in the 2016 US presidential election. Quote, Trump meets with the Mexican president and reports that they were in agreement on the wall, but did not discuss payment. The Mexican president says that one of the first things he said was Mexico would not pay for the wall, but was not opposed to it. Right-wing media, Trump and Mexico reach accord on wall. Left-wing media, Mexican president contradicts Trump on wall. Oh, come on. There was no discussion of who would pay for it, only a statement by the Mexican president. That is not a discussion, so Trump did not lie, like the left-wing media is trying to portray it as. On the other hand, no, they were not in complete accord, but were surprisingly closer than anyone expected, end quote. From November 9th to November 14th, Craig would make at least one political post each day during the fallout of the 2016 US presidential election, in which Republican candidate Donald Trump scored a historic upset against Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton. On November 9th, Craig wrote this, quote, Trump did something that has not been done in recent years. He spoke to Americans as a whole. He did not pander. He said, look, here are the big problems we are facing, and here is how we solve them. He did not allow name-calling to get in his way. He did not allow a hostile press to get in his way. Hell, he didn't even allow his own party to get in his way. And when the dust settles, all the bitter talk will have been shown to be totally wrong. We can also thank WikiLeaks for showing just what hypocrites the Democrats are. Keep it up, WikiLeaks. Gore the sacred cows of both parties. Let's start forcing people to run on the truth. End quote. On November 10th, he would write this, quote, comment poster on a different site. The de-evolution of US politics into a two-party system very much brought this on, and I'm sure the results would be pretty much have been the same if Hillary had won. Me, with regard to the claim that this would have happened no matter who won the election, sorry, I must strongly disagree. Look at all the riots that have occurred in the last 8 years. How many have been done by those on the right? None. They have all, every last one of them, all been done by those on the left. All of the violence on the campaign trail was started by Democrat agitators, often bird-dogging Trump supporters until they cracked. All of it. Liberal responder, not the same as the previous commenter. I guess you haven't seen all of the incidents of racial violence from vocal Trump supporters over the past 24 hours. They're all over the news. Also, apparently you missed all of the violence from Trump rallies against protesters. People beaten, kicked, their lives threatened. Seriously, you missed all of that for months? It's a shame that we still use the archaic, gerrymandered electoral college, which bizarrely once again has elected a president who lost the popular vote. Me. Funny how you claim there have been incidents of racial violence from Trump supporters that have been all over the news, yet cannot provide a single link to a news story about it. Why is that? Oh, and the violence from Trump supporters against protesters during the campaign? Look up the word bird dogging. That was documented. The protesters egged them on, just like they did at Kent State, specifically to get a reaction. End quote. On November 11th, he would share a couple of memes directed at poking fun at liberals. On November 13th, Craig made 3 posts, 2 about politics and 1 about religion. Finally, on November 14th, Craig made a post about voter turnout decreasing every general elections since 1972. On November 25th, Craig would make the first post on his new Beach Bears YouTube channel. The video was titled Angels We Have Heard on High and was a singing of the classic Christmas carol of the same name by the 3 Beach Bears. Over the 2016 Christmas season, he would upload more Christmas carols into Beach Bears characters. Good King Wenceslas on December 2nd, Joy to the World on December 9th, The Wexford Carol on December 16th, Silent Night on December 23rd, and Odd Long Syne on December 30th. Craig would advertise the first post, Angels We Have Heard on High, in a LiveJournal post on the same day on November 25th. Craig would make other LiveJournal posts advertising the songs as they were uploaded. On December 8th, Craig made another politically charged post attacking Democrats. Quote, "Amazing just how delusional the Democrats have become. They are now complaining about fake news, just as they complain about racism, sexism, and homophobia, when most of it is coming from Democrats and their allies. If you like your doctor/plan, you can keep your doctor/plan," which was passed off by the media without scrutiny, when those on the right were saying, "No way you can do that with this plan. Hands up, don't shoot," passed off as reality without checking. 97% of scientists agree on anthropomorphic global warming, which is still be bandied about years after having been debunked. What are they harping on? Pizzagate? Never heard of it. Me either. Even supposed fact-checking websites spread fake news. We need someone or some organization to come to prominence that does nothing but real fact-checking. It's a difficult job, but you have to start somewhere. End quote. On January 17th, 2017, Craig made a post talking about tolerance from the left once more. Quote, "Tolerance does not mean that I have to tolerate you, but you don't have to tolerate me. Inclusivity does not mean that I have to include you, but you don't have to include me. Racism does not mean that I can't discriminate against you, but you can discriminate against me. All of those are hypocrisy." End quote. Throughout this year as well, Craig would make many posts advertising the at the time ongoing Beach Bear story with YouTube links that are no longer available. However, each part of the Beach Bear story as well as the sequel have been archived on a YouTube channel titled Beach Bears Archive. On March 1st, Craig made another post explaining why he and many others had voted for Donald Trump in the previous election. Quote, "For many of us, what drove us to vote for Trump was we were tired of being told that the things we knew were true, because we had evidence and experience to back it up, were totally false. And we were idiots to believe them, that because of the color of our skin, we were racist. Isn't that an oxymoron? That because we believed in traditional values that have not only stood the test of time, but were very clearly were a cornerstone of civilization, we were haters. That because we wanted people to respect our borders, we were racist. That because we wanted to prevent terror, not react to it when it happens, we were Islamophobic. This is why we voted for Trump." End quote. On March 5th, another post was made calling out what he described as the psychotic left. Quote, "In any discussion, when someone suggests that Trump needs to be impeached, respond by mentioning the clause about high crimes and misdemeanors he was found guilty of first. Chances are you will be met with hate-filled rhetoric that says nothing more than 'I hate Trump' and everyone says he is going to kill puppies and eat little kittens. They've gone psychotic. In any discussion, when someone mentions Trump and the Russians, mention Hillary and the uranium, Obama telling Putin's number 2 that he can be more flexible after the election in 2012, chances are you'll be met with hate-filled rhetoric that says nothing more than 'I hate Trump' and everyone says the Russians hacked the election and voter fraud doesn't matter. They've gone psychotic. Seriously, it's been a month and a half since the inauguration, 2.5 years since the Electoral College vote, and almost 4 since the election. These people are in a la-la land where Hillary won and Trump stole it. They've gone full psychotic. This actually frightens me." End quote. On May 25th, Craig performed at Anthro Ohio 2017, which was held at the Holiday Inn Columbus, Worthington. The performance was a part of that convention's furry drama show, which lasted an hour and a half and was documented and uploaded on June 8th to a YouTube channel named Silver Gato Mon. Craig sings a couple of his more popular songs, such as I'll Lose Weight, Ad World, a parody of Hallelujah named Halitosis, which was released in 2009, and finishing with I'm a Big Beaver. At one point in between acts, the host gives a speech, which is interrupted by Ozark, played by Craig, one of his original puppets from Hayseed and Ozark, marking this the first time that he was seen since August of 2006. On September 28th, a video was uploaded by YouTube user Big Mev titled Coach Zucchini, a Toontown Retrospective. The video goes through the important beats of the Coach Zucchini channel with a comedic undertone, culminating in Big Mev finding a lost episode where Coach Zucchini talks about how 9/11 was an inside job. Throughout the Christmas season of 2017, like the Christmas season of 2016, Craig would upload more covers of holiday carols in the Beach Bears characters. Carol of the Bells on November 24th, Coventry Carol on December 1st, The Holly and the Ivy on December 8th, I Wonder As I Wander on December 15th, and Lo How a Rose on December 22nd. Craig would make no LiveJournal posts throughout December of 2017. On December 21st, a video went up on a YouTube channel named Coach Z Evil Twin, a popular Toontown YouTuber that served as the antithesis of Coach Zucchini, making videos about how to green other toons in-game. The video's title was My Relationship with the Real Coach Zucchini. The video talked about his relationship with Coach Z and the times that he had trolled Zucchini in the past, with the revelation coming out that Coach Z Evil Twin was Dragon, the toon that Zucchini mentioned by name in his final video as someone that harassed Zucchini during his years. It was also around this time that Craig was supposedly doxxed, which was documented in a YouTube comment reply from around the time the video was uploaded. Craig would only make 4 posts throughout January of 2018, not posting again for the next 4 months until May 19th, where he made a short post about that year's Midwest Fur Fest. Quote, attempted to get a room, failed because their program kept failing and I ran out of time. What should have taken 10 minutes got nowhere in 10 minutes. I had to leave for my father's memorial service, so thanks a lot, MFF. Maybe I should go to that new con in Guadalajara, end quote. This post was a significant one, as Craig had made no mention of his father passing before then. Craig's LiveJournal would also be sparse for this year, posting only 13 days out of the year, with many of the posts in the second half of the year being college football related. On May 24th through the 27th, Craig once again attended Anthro-Ohio. This time, he performed his own event in an event titled Parody Hour. Unlike last year's drama show, this one was entirely Craig's, with no other performances during this time. This performance was documented and uploaded on YouTube on June 28th. The performance started out with the Weird Al Yankovic personalized introduction that was made for Craig back in 2011. In the performance, he sang some of his more popular tracks, such as I'm a Big Beaver, Halitosis, I'll Lose Weight, and My Persona, the latter of which was the only song other than I'm a Big Beaver to have a video accompanying it. He would also perform some deeper cuts from his album, such as If I Had a Million Fursuits, a parody of If I Had $1 Million by the Bare Naked Ladies from The Sound and the Furry, I Want a Loan, a parody of Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day, also from The Sound and the Furry, Meet the Feeblesville, a parody of Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville from The Sound and the Furry, and My Mind Dwells in Strange Places, also from The Sound and the Furry. Overall, the event seemed enjoyable for Craig and the people in attendance. On July 21st, Coach Zucchini returned to streaming for the first time in almost 4 years. In the stream, Zucchini was playing Corporate Clash, yet another Toontown private server that was one of the more popular ones, only second to Toontown Rewritten, which was still the most popular private server. Despite being almost 4 years since streaming and 6 years since the last Coach Zucchini upload, he still had a rather large following, being followed by a crowd of other toons for most of the stream. On July 28th, Zucchini would stream once again playing Corporate Clash. He would do the same on August 4th and August 11th, with August 11th being the last Corporate Clash stream. He would stream a different private server on August 8th named Toontown Relived. This was the only stream of this server. On August 12th, Zucchini would stream once again on Toontown Rewritten, doing runs of the Bosspot Front 3 golf course with fans. On August 31st, celebrating 10 years on YouTube, Coach Zucchini did another TTR stream, participating in Cold Callers Guild runs. The Cold Callers Guild is an unofficial group in Toontown that runs cog bosses with any toons, no matter their laugh, gags, and cog suit level. The guild mainly runs in the VP, which is the first boss that toons are introduced to, and many beginner Cold Caller suited toons join these runs, hence the name Cold Callers Guild. On September 1st, Zucchini streamed again with a remade Dipper toon doing random tasks. On September 8th, he streamed once more, starting out by playing Dipper, then switching to Fat Peanut Pickle Pop and doing Cog Boss runs with fans. The next 5 streams were all TTR Cold Caller Guild streams, done with Fat Peanut Pickle Pop on September 9th, September 15th, September 22nd, and October 7th. On the October 7th stream specifically, Zucchini is trolled by 3 different toons: a blue crocodile named the Good Crocodile, a red horse named Fire Ant, and a blue cat named Shippy Bumbleface during the Chief Justice's pan-filling battle. The 3 repeat calls for Zucchini to heal them, despite them being nearly full health, and standing in front of the pan, not allowing Zucchini to throw evidence into the pan, stalling the group. They also throw evidence at Zucchini, healing him and clouding his vision. At this point, only 6 out of the 8 toons remained, including the 3 trolls: Zucchini, a purple duck named Josh, and an AFK toon that had been AFK since the first cog battle. One of the other toons had gone sad during the cog fight, and the other one seemingly left, as the blue crocodile had been trolling them during the fight. Given these circumstances, Craig quit the game, ending the stream shortly after. His final stream took place on October 9th. The stream was supposed to be another Cold Callers Guild stream, but Craig ran into technical issues as the stream was lagging throughout the entire time. Due to this, as well as the fact that people had started complaining in his chat, Craig had no choice but to end the stream only after around 8 minutes. As stated earlier, this would be the final Coach Zucchini stream and the final piece of content from the Coach Zucchini channel. To this date, Craig has not streamed or uploaded to the Coach Zucchini YouTube channel, but he did continue to post on Twitter. Craig's LiveJournal also became more sparse, only posting a smaller handful of posts throughout 2018. Much like the 2 previous years, Craig would upload more Beach Bears Christmas carols to the Beach Bears channel, once in Royal David City on November 28th, Still on November 30th, Oh Holy Night on December 8th, Panis Angelus on December 14th, We Wish You a Merry Christmas on December 21st, and another Old Long Sign on December 28th. On May 23rd to 26th, Craig once again attended that year's Anthro Hire convention and performed another parody hour. This performance was documented on June 4th of that year. The event was similar to the parody hour from last year, with Craig performing some well-known songs as well as some deep cuts from his discography. On January 5th, 2020, Craig uploaded once more to the Beach Bears. The video was titled, "Forget it, Orchard Music, you get nothing from my work." The video was simply a text card ranting on having to remove the Beach Bear story from YouTube. 2020 would be yet another slow year for Craig's LiveJournal. On March 27th and 30th, 2020, Craig would make 2 posts about the COVID-19 virus and its origins. The first one, titled "Naming the Origin is Not Racist," reads the following, quote, "Spanish flu, Hong Kong flu, Zika virus, Ebola, West Nile virus, MRSA, all named after where they originated. The only reasons why people call it racist to call COVID-19 the Wuhan virus or the Chinese virus is because, number 1, they hate Trump, number 2, China is trying to absolve themselves of responsibility, primarily the second," end quote. The second post, titled "Fuck You Race Baiters," reads, quote, "Canada knew about the virus back in November and did nothing. Canada knew about the virus back in December and did nothing. The virus grew out of control in Canada. Canada lied about it, claimed it was not contagious, told everyone to go about their business. Now the Canada virus is all over the world and thousands are dying because Canada lied and is still lying. So calling it the Canada virus is a reminder of who is responsible. That's not racist because Canada is not a race. Oh wait, sorry, it's China, not Canada. Those who claim calling it the Wuhan virus or the Chinese virus is racist, fuck you. Just fuck you, fuck you, fuck you," end quote. On April 8th, he made a post about President Donald Trump's recent endorsement of the malaria drug hydroxychloroquine, which in early studies was showing effectiveness in treating COVID-19. Quote, "Hydroxychloroquine has been used for many, many years. It has been proven safe for human consumption under a physician's care. It is in the public domain. Nobody is going to be making money hand over fist since the competition to produce the drug would be very high. Now, while yes, there has been no clinical studies to prove it is effective against COVID-19, such studies could take years to complete. People are dying now. There are plenty of anecdotal examples from many places around the world that claim it is effective. And yes, hydroxychloroquine is also used to treat lupus, and the use of the drug to treat those with COVID-19 might mean a shortage for those with lupus. Deaths from lupus stand around 1,500 each year according to the Lupus Foundation. deaths from COVID-19 just in the past 3 months is over 10,000. I seriously think COVID-19 is of higher priority. Stop standing in the way. You won't be short of hydroxychloroquine for long, and thousands could be saved." End quote. On November 10th, he made a post about voter fraud following Joe Biden's 2020 election victory, a victory that was pushed by mail-in voting. While not a new type of voting, many Republican lawmakers, including President Donald Trump, started touting false claims that these mail-in ballots can be used to commit mass voter fraud. Craig would make a post supporting the claims. Quote, "Recently I posted something regarding how 100 fraudulent votes can throw an election. Well, we now have evidence not of 100, but tens of thousands in one area, hundreds of thousands in another, and if the fraudsters get away with it, they will use it again and again and again. It must be stopped now." End quote. Craig would not post until September of 2021, when he made a post about immigrant workers, in which he penned simply, quote, "A migrant worker is a worker who comes at a particular time, usually harvests, works for a while, then returns home. These people have no intention of going home. They are not migrants." End quote. Out of the entire year, Craig only made 5 posts on LiveJournal. Where he would previously have hundreds of posts in a year, was only 5 this year. However, the lack of content on Craig's projects was about to become the least of his worries, as he was about to find himself embroiled in a controversy, a real controversy that would tarnish his name forever. On October 21st, 2021, a Google document was created by an anonymous source titled "The Hidden Side of Coach Zucchini / Coach Z." The document, updated last October 23rd, 2023, served to connect Coach Zucchini to the Maxter Group character, the Beach Bears, and Craig's LiveJournal, the latter of which would become the most infamous part of the controversy. The document started out with an introduction encouraging the reader to not refer to past biases when going through the document. Quote, "To all fans reading, please do not discount any of this information simply because you want it to be untrue. You do not know this man. Your perception of him is filtered through a curated online persona. You have no reason to trust him. This doc is mostly direct screenshots and instances of Coach's words and is indisputable evidence, and even if any of them were a misunderstanding, together it shows a pattern of damage that needs to be addressed. The authors do not know Coach Z personally. We have no reason to ruin his reputation, but think evidence of rude and dangerous behavior shouldn't be swept under the rug. The advice on how to handle it is meant for fans. This document isn't meant to harass or witch hunt the individuals in question, but to inform those who want to know who they're associating with and supporting. In other words, block or unsubscribe if needed." End quote. The document first connects Coach Zucchini to the Maxter Group character. Quote, "To begin, we were looking up Coach Z after watching Mega Snoop's video on him and seeing some of the comments people made about him. We ended up going down a rabbit hole of a lot of shocking information. It all started with a Reddit thread that brought up Coach Z's alter ego, Max Goof, or Max the Groot, which then led us to another thread that was in a similar vein than the previous one. We got curious and had to disobey please here. The next thread then gave a better explanation as to why." End quote. The doc links 2 different Reddit threads, one on r/toontown and one on r/showerthoughtsul, both of which being some of the earliest accounts of someone connecting the Maxter Group character to Coach Zucchini. The latter thread includes a comment posted by Reddit user Friday Sister P. Plaga. Quote, "It's this Ohio guy who did a video series Toontown of him teaching you how to play Toontown and tips and all that stuff, and he's famous for his ranting, yelling, and constant insults that are too PG and refuses to swear. Well, he has an alter ego named Max the Groot, and he does furry stuff, and he made this song called Want Cub Porn, and it's just so hypocritical. Edit, I know it's art, but this whole post altogether was supposed to be a joke." End quote. The document goes back to state, quote, "Now the point of him being a hypocrite, with that considered, is valid, but the bigger focus is the cub porn song, which is supposed to be a really awful joke. For those who are unaware, cub porn is the furry fandom equivalent of drawn child porn, where anthro baby animals are specifically drawn in sexual situations. Coach Z, out of all people, seemed like the least likely person to ever make something alluding to a thing like that, so at first we didn't believe it. Unfortunately, it's real, and it's as awful as you'd expect from a title like Want Cub Porn, and you wonder why or how this would be funny in any way, end quote. They then linked the aforementioned song that was included on Craig's 2011 album, Signifying Nothing. The document points out that it was a really awful joke, but if we take a look back at the LiveJournal post dated November 27, 2011, in which he defends cub porn, as well as detesting Fur Affinity's banning of it, we find that the song may not be a joke after all. Re-quoting, Fur Affinity recently decided to forbid the posting of cub porn. The reason seems to be that their chosen vendor for financial transactions said they would not allow Fur Affinity to use their services if they continued to allow it, such as the right of both that vendor and Fur Affinity. But in the case of cub porn, no child has been exploited. As such, the protection of child argument does not hold. How then can cub porn be illegal? End quote. The document then refers to Max Goof's Wiki Fur page, including that he was cited as being the man behind the Coach Zucchini YouTube channel, and then goes on to mention his artist bio page on the Funny Music Project, linking the photo on there to a face reveal done by Coach Zucchini in a Twitter post dated August 2nd, 2019. The document makes other connections, such as the census performance done at PenguinCon 2010 and the Fur Affinity page for the Beach Bears, listing his favorite game as Disney's Toontown. The document then goes on to make connections to Craig and cub porn, saying, quote, "If that all wasn't enough, he's been found following users on Ink Bunny who create both cub porn and feral porn, with the additional context of Ink Bunny being notorious for harboring cub content. There's many red flags being raised here. There are also claims of Coach Z having conversations encouraging users to create cub porn for him in and around Ink Bunny, but no evidence has surfaced to prove this," end quote. For context, Ink Bunny is another furry art website similar to Fur Affinity. The document includes a screenshot of a Twitter post from an anonymous account dated October 10th, 2023, in which the poster writes, quote, "Hey Coach Z, why do you, red underlined cub art NSFW art, blue feral, watch these people? There's more, but I can't screenshot it to show his username otherwise," end quote. The screenshot underlines cub porn and feral porn artists. Feral porn is the attraction to four-legged anthropomorphic characters that has been closely linked to the practice of zoophilia, due to its non-human-like characteristics that many furries prefer in conventional furry art. The next part of the document talks about Craig's LiveJournal, linking many posts. The first one it links was dated September 17, 2019, titled "The Derangement of the Left," and reads the following, quote, "When you are so convinced you are right that you ignore all evidence to the contrary and pretend it doesn't exist, you have become narcissistic. When you have a group of people that are narcissistic in a similar manner, that narcissism has become malignant, so they end up calling Hispanics, blacks, and Asians who disagree with them white supremacists. They end up, after years of explaining that weather is not climate, trying to convince us that weather is climate. They end up, after telling us that refusal to accept the result of an election is a threat to our democracy, spend 3 years refusing to accept the result of an election," end quote. The next post it links are the aforementioned hydroxychloroquine post and the virus origin post. It then links a post dated August 25th, 2017, titled "Eclipses and Climate Change," and reads the following, quote, "Too funny. NASA says eclipse and everyone falls all over themselves quoting science. Somebody mentions climate change and all of a sudden it's fake news. I'm going to demolish this argument because it is so ridiculously ignorant it deserves to be demolished. It was even put forward that Neil deGrasse Tyson, that pompous blowhard who runs an observatory and thinks he knows everything about everything else. Firstly, everyone is not falling all over themselves quoting science when it came to the eclipse. Eclipses have been predicted for hundreds if not thousands of years. Why? Because the mathematics involved is fairly simple. They were predicted long before the Renaissance that saw the rise of modern day science. 100 of the last 100 eclipses have been predicted accurately as a result of this long history of watching the heaven by astrologers, not astronomers. Climate change is not simple. You are dealing with a chaotic system that has many factors involved. It is not a set of simple formulas. It is so complex that they can only simulate it using computers, and even then, it takes hours, if not days, to do the calculations, and none of the projections by computer have come close to matching the actual results of the last 20 years. Nowhere close. So to compare the two as if the second were as certain and predictable as the first is nothing less than stupidity. In addition, it was predicted in the 1930s there would be global warming, then in the 70s global cooling. Both were wrong. Now we're supposed to believe it's warming when the models are not anywhere close to right? This is science? But even worse, the fake news being talked about are things like saying if we don't do something now, in 10 years it will be too late. Oh wait, Al Gore said that over 10 years ago, but apparently it is not too late, because we should still do something. And then they blame such things as ISIS and Ferguson on global warming. This is why they say anything regarding it is fake news. Nothing about it has been shown to be right." End quote. The next LiveJournal post it links is dated April 3rd, 2017, in which he includes a screenshot that reads, quote, "My name is Robert, but I would prefer that called me Bob. It's just like that, you know what I mean? And if you were to insist upon calling that person Robert, you would be a colossal dick." Paul F. Tompkins, succinctly explaining why you call people what they want to be called, whether it's little people or transgender or chairperson or Bob. It's not about being politically correct, it's about you. It's about basic decency and respect, end quote. Craig responds with the following, quote, "There are problems with this argument. Number one, if you had been going by Robert for years and suddenly started to want to go by Bob and got up in my face every time I used Robert out of habit, you would be the one being a colossal dick, not me. Number two, this isn't about names when it comes to transsexuals, okay? It's about pronouns. It's about expecting us to ignore our eyes and ears and years of experience just for you. It's expecting us to effectively keep a database in our mind to determine which pronoun to use with whom, when we never needed a database for that before. Names we have experience with keeping a database, and that database gets added to, but rarely changed. When it changes, see number one, it is making your problem my problem. Number three, yes, it is about political correctness. For hundreds of years, the English language has used the words man and mankind to represent the entire species without respect to sex, and nobody had a problem with that until now. That's not basic decency and respect. You already had that. This is about being politically correct. As an example, you see a group of bovines in a field and you say, "Hey look, cows," and there's a cowboy. You don't hear men getting all indignant and saying, "There are bulls in that group too, you know. Why not use the proper word? Cattle, huh? And that grown person is not a boy. How insulting." Yes, it is about political correctness, end quote. Another post dated October 19th, 2016, titled "Why?" reads, quote, "Why do some people feel it necessary to make sure everyone knows just how tolerant and supportive they are by creating scenarios that bear no resemblance to reality whatsoever? For example, an artist that I happen to like is starting a new story centered around a gay couple. No problem there. You can make a story based on whatever you like. The four supporting characters, however, are a lesbian couple and a transsexual couple, and nobody seems to be straight whatsoever. Oh, come on. How unrealistic is this scenario? Very, and I'll tell you why. Gay men rarely get along with lesbians at all. It's a dirty little secret, but a godly portion of gay men are extremely misogynistic. Lesbians have even less respect for gays, and neither one gets along very well with transsexuals. Don't believe me? Just listen to them for as long as I have, outside of the rallies where they have a common enemy, the overwhelmingly straight Christian population. Now when you consider that gays, lesbians et al. Make up 3% of the population, how likely is that you would find these three together as good friends? Almost nil, end quote. The final LiveJournal post that is linked is one dated January 23rd, 2020, and talks about his anti-abortion views. Quote, "When you argue against abortion, if anyone tries this argument, so how many kids will you be adopting? That's a straw man. Turn it around on them. Please tell me you are not going to claim that the existence of children in foster care is an excuse to abort children in the womb. Please don't tell me that," end quote. The document then goes on to mention his recent transphobia in a couple Twitter posts from his Beach Bears Twitter account, which has since been deactivated or deleted. The document first starts off by stating, quote, "While I'm sure many are hoping to give the benefit of the doubt, he hasn't at all changed as a person and will likely not continue to. Here are some of his recent posts relating to transgender people on his furry-centered Twitter account from 2023. This account was linked to his Eat Bunny page, which was shown previously. The mentality is identical to what he was posting on his blog, except possibly worse if you dive deeper," end quote. The first Twitter post is dated June 8th, 2023, and is a reply to a tweet from Not the Bee, a parody of the Babylon Bee, a fake news website. The tweet is in reference to Ellen Page's transition into Elliot Page, and reads, quote, "Ellen Page was violently punching herself in the face and hearing voices in her head. A few weeks later, a doctor approved her for transgender surgery," end quote. To which Craig responded, quote, "Again, this is a problem in the mind, not the body. Don't mutilate the body to fix a problem in the mind. It never works," end quote. The next Twitter post mentioned came from a Twitter account named AlphaFox, dated June 5th, 2023, and was a post of a person at a LGBT protest holding up a transgender sign reading, "Protect trans kids, protect me." AlphaFox said the following in response, quote, "Who's to blame for this?" Craig responded, quote, "These kids have no idea what they are asking for. No, correction, they know what they are asking for. What they don't know is that it cannot be delivered," end quote. The next Twitter post linked is another post from AlphaFox, dated May 29th, 2023, in which they link a photo from a protest of a sign reading, quote, "I'm not a boy or a girl. Where do I pee?" AlphaFox stated, quote, "Wrong answers only." Craig responded, quote, "Well, let's see. Boys pee from a penis, girls pee from a vagina. You pee from a cloacal opening, I guess," end quote. The next post linked is yet another AlphaFox post linking a photo of drag queen Sasha Velour, dated June 16th, 2023, writing, quote, "What do you call this? Can't use stunning or brave?" To which Craig responds, quote, "In your face, delusional," end quote. The last Twitter post linked is a tweet made directly from the Beach Bears Twitter, dated June 5th, 2023, reading, quote, "The love is love mantra has been bullcrap for years. These people have no idea what love is," end quote. The document concludes with the following, quote, "We were kind of disappointed to find out about this, and regardless of what you believe or think, you can't deny a lot of this is dangerous. Once again, everyone can do what they please with this information. None of this is doxing, as this is public information. We're also not making any personal calls to his actual career. We're just exposing a lot of actions that are harmful to many members of the Toontown and furry communities. For someone who's such an important figure, we feel this is necessary to expose to the masses," end quote. At the time, the document seemed to not be as exposed. Craig would make no mention of the document, and to this day, it is still confirmed if he had seen it at all. Craig would continue to sparsely post to his LiveJournal. On December 12th, Craig made a post about the COVID-19 vaccine. Quote, "Correct me if I am wrong, but do not vaccines simply prepare the body to fight a virus? In other words, you still get the virus, but the body much more rapidly fights it off. In other words, vaccines don't prevent the disease, they only mitigate the body's response to it. So those without symptoms still have contracted the disease, just the body is better at fighting it, whether you are vaccinated or not. Would this not explain a lot of the high numbers? Remember, some places are testing for it across the board, whether you have symptoms or not. They don't do this for any other disease, so it should come as no surprise that those who are vaccinated are testing positive. Now, if the vaccine mitigates the symptoms but not the disease, why should we be wearing masks? We are still as likely to catch the virus. Latest research shows it is spread from aerosols, not droplets, which masks do nothing to prevent, nor does social distancing. But your symptoms are likely to be milder, and if they are not, that is a sign of the immunocompromised rather than a sign of the virus going around the vaccine. If true, then let each person decide for themselves whether to get the vaccine, and let's get on with our lives. Oh, by the way, in the US, there's not a single death recorded from the Omicron XI variant, so the scaremongering is exactly that," end quote. On September 4th, 2022, Craig started a new series on Beach Bears named Fireside Chat with Stargazer. The series served as an inspirational talk series starring Stargazer. He would upload the next 2 episodes on September 25th and October 23rd of that year, as well as start a new series titled Ask Dipper. The first 2 episodes were uploaded on October 31st. Due to an error in uploading, episode 2 was uploaded first before episode 1. The series entailed Dipper answering fan mail and questions from the Beach Bears email. The first 6 episodes were uploaded between October 31st throughout November 13th. On January 20th, 2023, for the first time in nearly 7 years, Craig uploaded to the Max to Grow YouTube channel. The video was titled Go Rest High on That Mountain 2022 and was the first cover that he had done since America the Beautiful in May of 2011, nearly 12 years ago. The video was a tribute to those who had passed away in 2022, with all of the people mentioned being members of the Family Federation for World Peace, also referred to as the Unification Church, to which Craig was seemingly a member of. The church, founded in 1954 in Seoul, South Korea, by Sun Myung-moon, worked to establish world peace through what they described as the true family, fixating on heterosexual marriages, traditional family values, and raising families. The members of the church were sometimes referred to as Moonies. The video was set to Craig's rendition of the song of the same name in 1994 by Vince Gill. To this date, this is the last video to be uploaded to the Max to Grow YouTube channel. Craig would only make 6 LiveJournal posts throughout 2023, with the final one being notable. Quote, I'm going to stop posting here since LiveJournal seems to have hidden the place to enter titles and add text formatting, end quote. As it seemed for now, Craig had ceased communication on LiveJournal, removing the last bastion of updating his followers on his day-to-day life. Craig would continue uploading on the Beach Bears channel, using it as his main channel since ending uploads on Max the Groot and Coach Zucchini. While Coach Zucchini's name was still mostly in a good light, other than a few blips, another controversy, a much more public controversy, would take place that would open many more up to Craig's past in a much bigger way. A controversy that has no doubt tarnished the Coach Zucchini name permanently. On June 22nd, 2024, Craig, utilizing the Coach Zucchini name, would take to the Toontown Rewritten Discord server, making a disapproving comment about a blog post that had been posted in the server by the Toontown Rewritten team about the developer team's LGBTQ+ members. Craig stated the following, quote, and this is the reason why I am boycotting Rewritten this month. What do the sexual habits of the team members have to do with the game, especially one that minors can play without parental permission? End quote. The Discord interaction was documented by a Twitter account named NoContextTTO in a thread discussing the recent news that Coach Zucchini's Twitter account had been deleted. The thread started with, quote, Coach Zucchini's Twitter is no more. My man never learned what a ratio is and never will, and continued on with, I spoke to him directly and he confirmed to me that the reason he deleted his Twitter account was because TTR and TTCC, both standing for Toontown Rewritten and Toontown Corporate Clash, both IP banned him from the game. Godspeed. The reason? Anti-LGBT remarks. He didn't play TTR for the entirety of June because he doesn't care for Pride Month. Additionally, because of that song he made years ago. He's also now banned from any sort of IRL event like Toonfest. The TTR and TTCC teams want him gone. It's really unfortunate. Coach inspired me and so many others to make YouTube content. I really looked up to the guy. Back in 2018 when he returned to streaming, most people still respected him, but these last few years, he really showed his true colors and tanked his reputation, end quote. The mention of that song, which is undoubtedly Want Cup Horn, potentially leads to the fact that the Google document mentioned earlier was much more known in the community than previously thought, but with no way of viewing how many views the document received, it's still hard to confirm how popular it was. What is known is how widespread this Twitter thread became in the Toontown community. The first post in the thread received 36,000 views, with the image of his Discord comment reaching a staggering 50,000 views. The rest of the replies are from those within the Toontown community, both old and new, many fans of Coach Zucchini expressing distaste with him and his comments. Fans would also begin digging for more dirt on Craig, which saw a resurgence in the Google Doc referenced before, which has since become more popular. That, as well as his LiveJournal, Beach Bears, and Max the Group character were now on stage for the entirety of the Toontown community to see, and he was thus shunned. A few YouTubers would make responses to the controversy, denouncing his character and referencing old works from him, mostly the aforementioned Want Cup Porn song. Craig has since distanced himself from the Coach Zucchini name and the Toontown community as a whole. The last time he was spotted in anything Toontown related was when a Twitter user named Lunatrix met him at Toonfest 2019, which took place at the Replay FX Arcade and Gaming Festival in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania from August 1st to August 4th, 2019. Since then, Craig has made no other mentions of Toontown in any of his other projects. His YouTube channel still remains intact, hovering around the 13,000 to 14,000 subscriber mark, with no content since his October 9th, 2018 stream, and given his newfound infamy within the Toontown scene, new content being posted on the channel seems very unlikely. Craig would continue to post to LiveJournal, much slower this time. His 2024 and 2025 posts combined for only 6 posts, 3 in 2024 and 3 in 2025. His last post to date was dated January 21st, 2025, in which he celebrated Ohio State winning the college football national championship. As of August of 2025, he has not posted since and seems unlikely to. Craig still posts Beach Bears, the latest post as of the writing of this script coming July 14th, 2025, titled Warm Summer Nights, and was, quote, a tender video about wolf couples on a summer night, plus some of the trials and tribulations in making it, end quote. The video was a song sung by him, utilizing AI-generated videos, which is what much of his content on Beach Bears is nowadays. Songs made by him with AI-generated videos and images to accompany it. As of now, Beach Bears seems to be Craig's final bastion of the internet that he seems to be welcomed in, as many in his dwindling community either do not know about his controversies, do know about them and don't care, or know about them and agree with his positions. Coach Zucchini, being his most famous work, is also tarnished with the poor reputation that Craig found himself in. If only he had used a different account to make that comment, the Coach Zucchini name may have remained mostly unharmed, and that Google document and much of the information that those have today about him would have remained under the radar, since those who dug would have had no reason to dig for dirt on him. However, the Coach Zucchini name, as well as Max the Groot and Craig Smith as a person, now carries around a load of baggage, skeletons in the closet if you will, a closet that can be opened by anyone wishing to know more about the person behind the Coach Zucchini channel, as the treasure trove of content, including the Max the Groot YouTube channel, the Beach Bear Story and YouTube channel, the Coach Zucchini channel, and Craig's personal LiveJournal all remain public. As Craig would want it not found, many continued to go against his best wishes and dig into his past, and his name becomes more forgotten and muddy as time marches on. Coach Zucchini now stands as a case study on the effects of radicalization in the United States, and when someone with such radical political, societal, and religious views is given a platform on a children's game, and once those children grow up and become a part of the community they detest, the consequences, in Craig's case, are rather severe.